Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brotherhood of Gaming.com. I'm your host, William Morris.
And I'm your co-host, Eugene Morris. And, well, guess what, Bill? We have a brand new addition to the Metal Gear universe.
Don't say that.
Whether we want it or not.
I guess we do have no stupid choice but to look at it. I mean, if it isn't abundantly clear just by all of the cool stuff here, Metal Gear Solid, and, well, Metal Gear in general, is a franchise that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
As do I. In fact, remember, Will, when we got Metal Gear Solid 4, and I actually beat that game before you did because your PlayStation 3 broke on me before... here's our review of Metal Gear Survive.
Now, we all know the ugly history behind this game, and how Konami treated our god, Hideo Kojima. Because of them, Metal Gear Solid 5 was an incomplete mess and had an unsatisfying story. As it was, it is still amazing that the gameplay was still a lot of fun. But now, here we are with Survive. And when it was announced, we do admit we were a little less than thrilled, for obvious reasons.
But we are being honest here when we say that we really did want to give this game a fair shot. And why wouldn't we? We would never go into a game saying, oh boy, this is going to suck. No, just because Kojima was not involved doesn't mean that this is going to be automatically bad. So let's give it the benefit of the doubt.
After all, Snake's Revenge was pretty good, and we liked that game.
But remember, Snake's Revenge was on Nintendo, and everything on Nintendo was great.
Okay. Anyway, without any further ado, here's our review of Metal Gear Survive.
Okay, so what is the story of this Metal Gear Survive? Well, the game starts out with the destruction of Mother Base that occurred during Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. As Big Boss is evacuating, your character, a random member of the Diamond Dogs, is fighting to survive the attack, when suddenly, and oh my god, I kid you not, suddenly, a wormhole appears in the sky above Mother Base, sucking part of it up, along with many of the soldiers as well. Your character almost gets ensnared as well, but manages to avoid it. However, it does come at an expensive cost: the left arm. The incident causes your nameless character to be placed into suspended animation, but is revived sometime later by a mysterious figure named Good Luck. He informs your character that the wormholes are connected to an alternative dimension of Earth, which is overrun by these zombie-type creatures with red crystals for heads called Wanderers. Apparently, the holes had opened up before, causing these Wanderers to enter our world. The first incident took place in the 1960s during the Cold War, and they were able to wipe them out without the public knowing about them.
I have several questions.
One, if this event has been long-lasting over the decades, as the story suggests, how did, this entire event go under the radar of, the Patriots? That entity that was all-knowing and controlled absolutely everything in the Metal Gear history and franchise. The entity that everybody was literally fighting against. The entity that Guns of the Patriots was all about. You'd think if these zombies had entered into our world and messed up stuff, and there was portals going all over the place, teleporting people from one dimension to another, that the Patriots would probably know a little bit about that and maybe want to look into it, get control over it, or hell, actually, here's another question. If our government agency knows all about this and is covering it up, why not get a soldier who could probably handle it a lot better, like, the boss?
Good Luck sends the soldier through the wormhole to this alternate world called Diete, as there is a creature there that is infecting people, turning them into wanderers. And of course, you have been infected as well. It's up to you to find a cure, rescue the survivors from Mother Base, and find this stuff called Kuban energy. Yeah, apparently this energy is super powerful and can do all sorts of wonderful stuff for humanity. Or so we're told. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, we do know that ridiculous and Metal Gear goes hand in hand, and whether you liked Kojima's writing or not, it was still a very tightly written tale. But the plot here just doesn't really fit. You can't just drop something like this in the middle of the Metal Gear storyline. It just creates plot holes. I mean, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance was something different, but at least that took place after the Patriots were gone, so that game did have some leeway. In all, it's just an excuse to drop you in the middle of nowhere surrounded by enemies. Now, you do meet other characters along the way who do join up on your travels, but none of them are very interesting, so they're not really worth mentioning. Yeah, no Otacon, Raiden, or Ocelot here. Your character uses a character creation similar to the Phantom Pain, which allows you to model them anywhere you would like. We went with female because, why not? We're all for diversity. In any event, it is not surprising that the character creation is the same, as this game just reuses the same assets from the previous game.
As you take over, the game drops you into this barren world. And for you, the main objective is to survive by finding resources throughout the land, including these canisters where you can get recipes for new creations. You will have a main base, and from there, you gather things like iron and wood to build yourself crafts and tools that you're going to need. At your base camp, you can use these workbenches to create weapons, gear, defense materials, and things of that nature. The more stuff you get, the more powerful tools that you can make. You have two primary weapons that you can use. Pretty much a short-range weapon, like a machete or a shovel, and a long-range weapon, like a spear, a bow and arrow, and or a gun. You can also equip throwable objects like bottles for distractions, and defense parameters like fences. All of these can be done at base camp. There, you can also make additions to it, like you could in Metal Gear Solid 5, just on a smaller scale. You can make defense barriers, for example, to get in the way of the invading forces, put materials in storage for safekeeping, or make farming areas, and water collectors.
Which brings us to the eating and drinking mechanic. Now you have to eat food to increase your health, and you have to increase your stamina by drinking water. But here's the catch. Your health and stamina are constantly decreasing. All the time.
So you will have to be eating and drinking regularly in order to keep them up, and by that we mean every couple of minutes. Not kidding. You'll have to look for food like wild berries and animals to hunt and kill. Now you can eat them raw, but that could leave you open for infection, as does drinking dirty water. It is safer to cook at a camp, but sometimes if you're in a pinch, you may have to just wolf it down to keep from dying instantly from hunger. As for the infections, well, they can be dealt with healing items that you can obtain throughout the game. Do you remember when Spoony did his Ultima reviews? When in a Calabath, how your character has to always keep eating?
It's tremendously frustrating, especially since you're constantly keeping an eye on your dwindling food supply. You're always buying food in these games because you eat with every step you take. It's bullshit.
That is the same here, and it really makes no sense. Look, I understand if I ate some wild berries that wouldn't last too long, but if I eat a cooked wolf's meat, I should be good for a few hours. But no, a few minutes later, my character is starving again. Hell, if you're not careful, you can even die of starvation while in the middle of crafting or sneaking or anything. It ain't fun.
This really hampers the enjoyment to be had with the game, if any at all, because you're constantly going to be out there in the wilderness looking for flora and fauna just to keep your energy up. And for God's sakes, that makes exploration really tricky.
Now, Jesus Christ, we know that Metal Gear Solid 3 had a mechanic where you can eat and restore stamina, but the difference is that there it was not intrusive. That's exactly what this is, intrusive. We get the concept behind it to add another level of challenge, but it just takes away from the potential fun that could be had. Well, not that exploring is all that fun anyway, as this world is pretty damn boring. It is just a vast apocalyptic desert. At least by using the Fox engine, the game is, well, very nice to look at. At least when you're not, starving. When you are hungry, the screen goes blurry every 10 seconds, and it's because your character is lightheaded. But still, it can make the game very hard to endure for long hours of playtime, especially if you have trouble with headaches, and I know some of you people out there do. Throughout, there are these pockets called dust, in which are poisonous to inhale, so you're going to need an air tank in order to survive in them. It is in the dust where most of the action also happens to take place, including the creature of this game, which looks like something out of Shadow of the Colossus. So you're going to be traveling through the dust a lot, and of course, the oxygen is going to go down the longer you are in it. However, you can of course replenish the oxygen by using this stuff called Kuban energy. What is Kuban energy?
Now, the Kuban energy is the primary resource you need to level up your character, which can also be done in this machine at the base camp. like increasing your max stats, obtaining more fighting skills, and so on. Now you can find the crystals in the fields and obtain them there, but really the best way to get them in-game is by destroying the Wanderers. When you kill one, you can gather up the energy they drop. The best way to deal with them, honestly, is to construct fences to protect you, and as they run into them, jab them with your spear. With this strategy, you can take out several at once. Or you can shoot a fire arrow. That works well too.
The main thing about this game is that it's all about defending ground. So, for example, you're going to have to go on these missions and find things like the wormhole generators, which function as the quick travel in this game.
Once you activate it, it will attract groups of enemies to you, so you'll have to defend it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, etc. So you have to make sure that you are well prepared with the right materials in order to keep them at bay to complete your mission. And if you lose, it's back to the main base camp, which can gobble up hours of playtime. So for goodness sakes, just don't lose. Just don't. Later on, there are times where you'll be defending against waves and waves of enemies for long periods of time. And that's pretty much it. Go somewhere, find something, defend it, over, and over, and over. Might as well call this Metal Gear Tower Defense.
This is not a stealth game. Really? This is a hack and slash game where you kill numerous zombies. I mean, there is a stealth element here, but it's just as usable as it was in freaking Metal Gear Rising. The problem in the long run with this game is that all of the other game design choices in it really neuter the stealth element. Number one, you can't really take your time sneaking around because your health and stamina are decreasing at a horribly rapid rate all the time. And number two, you need to kill these things in order to get the Kuban energy to do upgrading for the upcoming challenges. So there really is no point to sneaking around at all. You can sneak up and kill enemies from behind, but honestly, it takes way too long for you to really effectively do that. It really is just better for you just to get noticed, put up a fence, and hack away until you get what you need. Now we get to the major thing about this game, and oh boy, it's a doozy. And probably all too predictable. This is a glorified cell phone gacha game. You pay to win. However, unlike those cell phone games which are, free to play, this one, you're just gonna have to pay $40 up front just to try it out. This game has a lot of microtransactions, and Konami has really molded this game in order to get you to use real money to invest in them. By entering the store, you can acquire coins that can let you purchase premiums that will greatly increase the drops that you get from enemies and what you find in the wilderness, for a set amount of days, of course. This will allow your character to last longer. Now, you can try to grind for it, but with the constant depletion of your resources, your stamina, your health, and your sanity, and for probably the best of all, your freaking patience, it really makes this a lot harder and questionably almost impossible to play just to be competitive.
Beating the game may just be possible, but believe us, Konami went really out of their way to make sure that the adventure is going to be a long and difficult one. And in the long run, that's just not enjoyable. And by God, it's going to be a long run.
Also, this game requires an always online connection, because of course it does. Metal Gear Survive also has a co-op online multiplayer, which you can join up with others to complete missions similar to that of the game. You bring with you the resources from your single-player campaign. And how is it? We don't know. We couldn't find anyone to play with us. And look, we tried. We tried for several hours, but we just couldn't get anyone to join with us. I guess we were the only idiots out there trying to play this game. Also, as a side note, we have heard that you have to pay extra money to unlock extra save slots in this game. And, well, to us, it's like, hey, this is Konami. Are you really that surprised?
When it comes to Metal Gear Survive, we really did want to give the game a fair shot. Trust us, we really did. We are fanboys of Metal Gear, sure, and we know that Kojima is a polarizing figure in the video game community. He has a great deal of fans, but also many who kind of don't like his games for whatever reasons. We don't talk to them. But ultimately, this really turned out to be exactly what we thought it was going to be. A straightforward cash grab from Konami using the Metal Gear name. The story may be non-canon, or not, we're not really sure. We suppose that's really up to your interpretation. We do admit, when playing this game, it does grow on us a little at times. There is a thrill and a sense of accomplishment in preparing and defeating groups of enemies and completing missions, but unfortunately the gameplay choices just make the game a goddamn chore more than anything else. So we really cannot recommend this, other than maybe just for rental curiosity's sake. For us, we would just rather play this.
So, there you guys have it. That was Metal Gear Survive. Now, believe us, we really do wish we could have gone out and said that this was an amazing game and a must-get, but we can't. By any stretch of the imagination, we cannot say that it's a good game or a great game to get. But listen, if you guys are into experimenting and you want to try it out for yourself, by all means, go ahead. You will be pitied, and you will be playing alone.
In any event, no matter what happens in the future for the Metal Gear franchise, we'll always have this. And this.
And all of these!
You've been watching another review from the Brotherhoodofgaming.com. He's your host, William Morris.
And he's Eugene Morris.
Make sure to leave a comment in the video below to let us know what you thought. And we will see you next time for our next video game review. What will it be? Who knows?
And don't forget to follow us on our Twitter feeds, our Facebooks, in order to keep up with all of our social medias.
One thing's for sure, our next review won't be a Konami game.
Konami.